All right, testing 1, 2, 3. Okay, there we go. Hello, everyone. Yeah, I checked. They can hear me now. We are good. Welcome to Stratosphere 156. I am Lyra. I will be with you today. And we have our first match here. We have Effie versus Tazago. Effie, our 1 seed in this tournament, Tazago, our 5 seed. Yeah, once things get ready, we will jump into the action. Tazago here, a U rank, but don't be fooled. You can see on that profile, top rank X. However, though, Effie, global number 31, going to be a difficult opponent to take down here. Yeah, best of luck to both. Both of them are in the room, so we should be starting this up very soon. All right, looks like we are starting now. No warm up needed. First to 11 here. All right, we're starting off with our opener game here. Tizago breaking that back-to-back early. And Effie is just going to continue building up that back-to-back. Effie with the speed advantage is likely going to be playing the back-to-back game, as it's probably the safest way to beat a lower ranking opponent like Tizago. Tizago's up at the top, no way out. Effie finds the kill for the first point. Alright, more stick spin versus MS2 here. Effie just setting up these floating T-spins. Early break from Effie puts Tizago up at the top. Tizago has a way out. There's the T-spin. There's the eyepiece. Tizago breaks here, but Effie is still using that speed advantage. Still going right now on the down stack. That's some pretty messy garbage on Effie's board. That's going to keep them from getting that back-to-back going. But Tizago's on the ropes right now. There's the T-piece for her to get out. Effie finds the back-to-back, and that gets the kill. Alright, C-spin versus 6-spin. Effie's sitting here with these T-spins right now. Breaks with a 17 spike. Tizago breaks as well. Tizago with some messy garbage on the board. Effie stabilizing a bit before building up that back-to-back, but some misdrops along the way slowing them down. Tizago has this T-spin into quad setup, but she's doing her best to stay alive. It's working mostly, but that's not looking great. Okay, Tizago gets down. Sets up the T-spin over the well, but Effie seems to have found the kill here. Yep, and that'll be the third point. TKI here for Effie. Tizago setting up this C-spin, push up to the top early on, but there's the 26 spike. Tizago looking to kill with that opener for sure, but does not find her the kill she's looking for. Tizago's up at the top here with that -10 looming on the board. There's some of the pieces to get out, but Effie finds the kill quickly enough. Tizago here going for that STPC spin. Effie with more of these T-spins set up here. Kind of in a center 3-wide setup, and Effie does release. And that finds them 5th point. We're going to see that stick spin start from both sides, but we're going to see them form the rest of the opener a little differently. Both getting that back-to-back. Effie has that nice open well here. Tizago has those all spins going to get that back-to-back, but it's not looking great as Effie is continuing to build the back-to-back lead. Ooh, some nice fancy all spins there. Like those. Effie does break though, and Tizago's alive. Handles the break well. There's another quick break from Effie that's going to send Tizago up at the top. Tizago's staying alive, but that board is messy. That is a lot of cheese, and that is just not what you want to see. And more is just still coming in. Effie just relentless with that damage right there, just continuing to send that on, or below the cheese rather, after the cheese, and does find the kill. PCO stack from Effie, Tizago building up another C-spin. A nice little STSD after this C-spin for Tizago, but it looks like she was just a bit too slow. The S-spin single is going to give her one more piece of survival, but Effie's going to find it. Tizago misdrops opener here, leaving us with a nice little like washing machine setup that I'm a little upset that she didn't take there. I would have taken that, but you know, there's a reason I'm not playing. Anyways, Effie is finding that back-to-back, does not even need to break it, finds the point there, continuing on in this sweep. Effie misdropping the TKI there and then misdropping the eyepiece on the fix for the TKI. A little interesting, but I don't think it's going to slow them down that much. Tizago setting off the extended SDPC spin right there, hoping to find a kill with that opener, but Effie was ready for it despite their own misdrops at the very beginning. Speaking of misdrops, Effie has misdropped again here. Little combo down stack to save that board. Tizago's board, not looking great. Trying to set up this greedy STSD right there, not finding it. There's some spins to keep this alive, but the clutch players come through and are not enough. Stick spinning on both sides again. Tizago going for that extended SDPC spin that almost worked out last time. Effie with the PC right there is just spamming these all spins right now. Sends it over. Tizago building up that back-to-back. Has a nice clean well. And now Tizago's the one all spinning here. She has the room that she wants. She breaks. Both players break here, but Effie with a little bit of a misdrop clears that up. Tizago setting up these spins. And Effie with the 24 spike. Nothing Tizago can do about that one. It is now match point for our 1 seed here. Ooh, the PC there from Effie, going for DPC right now. Not exactly the greatest in this meta, but it's still cool. T-spin right there. Tizago struggling a little bit. Effie with a cut copy. 25 spike, maybe not as much as they were hoping for. Did you see a no sweep here? Effie up at the top with a little bit of misstacking. They're getting down. There's the T-piece, there's the I-piece, continuing on down this, and that is game. Effie showing us why they're the 1 seed in this bracket for sure. And that is a sweep to start us off. Alright, we will be moving on to the next round. There you go. Now you get to see this beautiful picture of my cat. Isn't it great? I just love this picture so much. I could look at it all day, personally. But yeah, we will work on getting our next match going. I have to pull up the bracket myself here. Okay, so it looks like we're currently in top 6. And that was the winner's bracket match. As you could probably guess, because the 1 seed was in there. So Tizago is going to move down into the lower bracket side of this. It looks like we are waiting on one other losers round match to see who Tizago will play there. But Effie will advance onto the semifinals. So yeah, that was a quarterfinal match. Got it. Okay, cool. There's the bracket on screen. That's easier to look at than what I was looking at. And then it looks like we're gonna stay on the winner's side. Civ versus Estevan. I see they're Mexican, so I'm guessing Estevan. I really don't know how I'm supposed to pronounce this. Do I say Este? That sounds like it might be right. Este? It's been a while since I've taken a Spanish class. All right, yep, and there is our matchup. It looks like our players want to warm up here. So we do see 2 seed versus 3 seed here. Pretty close matchup. Both of them X ranks, though Estevan is low X, Civ is high X here, so pretty big TR difference there. You can see they're on opposite sides of that, but getting a warm-up going now. Ooh, love to see a DT cannon. Honestly, I think DT cannon is underused, especially in the Season 2 rule set, because of the Allspin's continuations out of it. I see Estevan is just going for the 09 continuation out of it, which is less popular. Civ sends that back-to-back surge. Estevan breaks. Setting up that S-spin triple, looking very clean. Civ's board also looking clean. Civ breaks here and sends that messy garbage over to Estevan. Board does not look good. This looks like it might be it for Estevan. There's a T-spin to keep this going. On the down stack here. There's that -8 appearing on Estevan's board. As Civ is continuing to build up this back-to-back. Civ counting to 4. Estevan's also building up that back-to-back and sends in the 15 spike. Civ also breaks. That puts Estevan up at the top, but that was good timing there because Civ's board was not really ready to go for a huge spike with that back-to-back break. So kind of catching them at an off time means that the back-to-back break wasn't as powerful as they were hoping. Civ's on the ropes now, and that L piece is going to be it for a warm-up. All right, players exchanging GLHFs, and it is time to start this off. Ooh, love to see a Gasho there from Estevan. 2 openers so far that are not very popular, but I just personally like. Civ getting that back-to-back going, opening up that well really nicely. Civ breaks here. Estevan's well is covered and they're up at the top. They use the eyepiece to get the well uncovered, and that puts them at a disadvantage, and Civ finds the kill in time there with the S-spin. Ooh, into like a cut copy. That was a cute setup. TKI, DT cannon. Ooh, a misdrop from Estevan on the DT cannon. That's not going to set them back too much though. And honestly sets them up nicely for a T-spin. Civ breaks. Civ trying to send some more pressure as Estevan's up at the top. Estevan down stacking here. Civ with some all spins right now. There's the back-to-back. Oh, Civ. Okay, the I-spin triple. Love the I-spin triple. Struggling to get that T-piece where it needs to go, but figures it out. Civ down stacking from the top here. Estevan a little bit closer to the bottom. Accepting this nice clean garbage, but they already used holds, and so the I-piece isn't accessible. Ooh, the L misdrop there. Alright, now we're seeing stick spin. Civ setting up this STSD. Estevan gets that back to back going first. Civ fractals and then breaks. Putting Estevan up the top with messy garbage that they're gonna have to work down through. Nice T-spin single out of the TST setup. Saban's just kind of skimming the way down right now. Maybe you're looking for a quad setup, but not quite finding it as that -8 appears on the board. Civ is pressuring and does not even need to break to find the point. 3-0 so far. This definitely has a higher chance of going no sweep than our last match, but it's still a pretty significant rating difference between the two players. Civ with a couple of eye dependencies right now. This isn't great for Civ. They break, and they're fine, and the Staven just has almost like a mini mechanical heart setup going on. They skim down. Staven continues skimming down here. Civ also skimming a little bit. Neither player really finding the back-to-back or getting that going. Civ misdrops on what was supposed to be a T-spin setup. They fix things nicely and start on that down stack. Staven, okay, I was wondering if they were setting up for that S-spin right there. Still skimming down, just trying to stay alive. Well, Civ has quite the machine going over here. Quite the all-spin machine. I do like it. Ooh, this is good. Ooh, that was clean. That was clean from Civ. I really liked how all those setups worked well together, and the break with the spike comes through. Gasho from Staven's side right now. Ooh, there was a misdrop in the middle of that that's going to put them up at the top of the board with some pretty cheesy self-made stack. And that is going to be the round. Ooh, Gasho from both sides. Hello? I love that. I love the Gasho here. Love to see it come out. Both players setting up some all-spins right now. Civ is the one who gets that back-to-back going. Not entirely surprised by that. Civ breaks here with a 30 spike, 31. Puts a Staven up at the top, and that, ooh, that J misdrop is brutal there. There was survival after that if that J piece wasn't just one, you know, misplace. SDPC spin. Civ setting up that nice Kaidan over the well. All spins from Civ. Oh, that is one piece off, but still kind of works. Oh, the Z-spin triple? Maybe it was intentional. I just don't know my all spins well enough. Speaking of all spins, Civ has some more set up here. Breaks. Doesn't actually send. All that break is used for defense. And there's our no sweep. Civ just got caught out a little bit there. Didn't restabilize their board in time. And that gives Staven the kill. More Gasho on both sides. Love to see it. There's the PC that comes after it. Civ building up this back-to-back in this 2-7 stack right now. Breaks with a 13 spike. A Staven up at the top. Civ trying to get that post pressure going. They have a DT set up right here. DT, and then are they going to go for, that's what I thought, but you're eye dependent on that Imperial Frost. There's the Imperial Frost with the J spin instead of the second T spin. Civ skimming down a little bit more. Done with their cheeky plays for a bit, it seems like. The Staven gets that back to back and breaks it. Puts Civ up the top to find a second point in a row. Both players going for TKIs, but Civ misdrops theirs, leaves them with a nice little washing machine setup. Civ gets well access right now. And Staven's board's not looking great. The ST stacking didn't quite work out for them there, and that is going to be another point for Civ. Gasho versus TKI. All spins from both sides to get that back-to-back going. Civ is the one who finds it first. Saving with a nice dono to keep this going. Civ breaks and sees that -9 on the board. Esteban breaks with a nice 20 spike, and that is going to put some pressure on a Civ here, who has a messy board as they've started to downstack, but they have the pieces, they have the eyepiece, they have the wells, and they are going to stay alive. Esteban's board not looking great. There are some fixes here. They're trying to fix it with this S piece right now, but the piece does not go in the spot they wanted, unfortunately. They're going to have to downstack this out, but the downstack comes through. The wells are clean, and Esteban stays alive. Civ looking for that Z-spin double. Looking to maintain this back-to-back up the top here. Definitely a little dicey for them as they do decide to break. Esteban up at the top, but they have clean wells and they have an out, so they're not in a dire situation yet. Civ with some all spins that are so fancy that I thought that was a misdrop for a sec. And now we have a little bit of a kite-on situation as Esteban sees that -10 on the board above them. And that's only going to continue to grow as Civ is just setting up these all spin setups. Civ continuing to build this up. There's the break with the 23 spike. The follow-up isn't too much, but Esteban takes a little bit of time to think, and that little bit of time is enough for Civ to find the damage to kill. Gasho versus I don't know what Esteban's doing. I think that may have been a misdrop based on the way that they reacted. But they're chilling along with it as Civ is in a 6-3 upstack. All spinning, of course. Esteban taking a moment to think right there. Setting up a nice fractal. Esteban breaks in a small spike. Civ accepts it. Opens up the well, breaks, and that break comes at just the right time for Civ to be just 2 points away from the win. A reminder that this is a winner's bracket match, so winner of this goes on to play Epi in semifinals, and loser will drop down to that loser's bracket. We see Esteban speeding up a lot right here. Definitely a different pacing than we've seen them take before. Maybe trying a different strategy right now. I noticed both players going a little bit slow last time, or these last few rounds, so I'm not surprised that players are capable of playing faster than we've seen them play before. 8-1 setup for Esteban as they break, and Civ's board just is not ready for that. Doesn't have the board state to handle that, doesn't have the pieces, and that's going to give a point. Both players speedy on the opener right now as Esteban does an SCPC spin. Civ with this spike right here is going to push Esteban up to the top. And that spike is so clean, working with the garbage balls that they already had to get the most out of their board. Alright, Civ taking a moment here as they do some misdrops going on, but they clean things up. Esteban down at the bottom, sending some pretty clean garbage for now. There's the spin double. There's the break there from Esteban. Civ finds the back-to-back. Continues to send out that damage. Breaks here due to Esteban's pressure. Ooh, Civ with the eye spin right there. Ooh, Saving with the misdrop on the J piece is going to leave them without the T-spin setup that they were looking for, and that is going to be game. So 11-3, our final score there. Again, Civ advances to winners semifinals to play against Effie. Esteban goes down into the lower bracket. And I'm not quite sure which part of the bracket we are going to go into next. I would guess that we go down into the lower bracket, but I could be wrong. Looks like players are just getting things sorted out in the room. All right, yeah, so it does look like we are down in the losers bracket. How's playtesting going? Nothing new. Nothing new lately. I'm only worrying about my Buffalo Bills today, but I know y'all probably don't want to hear me talk about American football on stream. I feel like there's a small overlap of people who care about Tetris and American football. Oh, okay, there we go. Teta versus Flaze. Okay, yep. So players are in the room, ready to go. I don't see stats on there, so I can just call them out for you. I see Flaze is U rank, 99 APM average, 2.78 PPS average, 204 versus. Teto also U rank, 88 APM average, 2.35 PPS average, 190 versus average. So we do see Flaze with the better stats there. And like swapping back and forth. Flaze with better stats in all three categories. So I would assume that they're favored here, and we could even see the seed difference favors Flaze here. Oh, there's our stats. Yay! Yeah, as you can see, pretty close here. All right, so it looks like we will be doing warm up here. You do see the speed advantage for Flaze right now. Teto with a quick break. Interesting that our U ranks are playing faster in this match than our X ranks were last match. But speed doesn't necessarily... Speed is very important, but it's not the most important thing out there. There are other important things too, good efficiency and everything. Yeah, we do see a lot of cheese on these players' boards. I think when players tend to play a little bit less clean, that will lead to more cheese, which isn't the most surprising thing in the world, but I'm guessing we're going to see cheese being a bit more of a factor in this match than our previous ones. Because this is very down stacky right now. That is our warm-up. Warm-up goes the opposite way of the stats and the seedings, so we'll see if that momentum carries through. Lower ranking games tend to be a little bit less momentum-based, I would say, though. And players exchanging their GLHFs. TKs on both sides. Plays with the misdrop as both players were trying to convert that into ST stacking. Blaze does bring it into ST stacking. Tato has some misdrops that, yeah, they were trying to go for an all-spin setup there with that STs, but does not find it. Blaze misdropping the stick spin opener. Taito with the PC on their, what I believe was sailboat. Blaze with some misdrops up at the top here. Not looking great for them. They get some of the pieces to get out here. There's the eye piece. There's the down stack. Combo down stack from Blaze there finds the 17 spike, but not much of it finds its way to Teto's board, who has mostly clean garbage right now. So, nice on them for defending that away and keeping their board clean. Tato not looking great right now, going to be on the down stack, has the pieces to get out. Nice little spike there. Blaze with quite the spire on the side of the board there, and going to be 1-1 here to start off. Definitely looking like it's going to be our closest match so far. Ooh, another misdrop from Blaze on the opener there. That's going to slow them down yet again. They did have well access, but they did get rid of it. And that is going to be a very low APM round there. It happens sometimes, though. Alright, Blaze setting off the C-spin, Tato setting off the all clear right there, and the well is very nice for Tato, who's going to get that back-to-back and break it here. Blaze looking for some all spins, but not really building up that back-to-back, just going for that down stack instead. There's the 14 spike as Tato's board gets a little bit of cheese right in the middle there. Covering the well, opening it. Continuing on the down stack. Blaze with the back-to-back and the quick break right there. And the pressure finds the point there to bring us to 2-all. Now we see the misdrop on the opener comes from Teto's side. As Blaze sets off the C-spin. Teto accepts this messy garbage right here. Definitely going to slow them down a little bit as Blaze is just spamming out damage. It's a nice clean well. Can they convert this here? They do find the win, edging Teto up to the top of the board there. PCO stack. Ooh, and the misdrop there from Blaze puts them in a horrible spot as Teto finds the second PC right there. Love that. Let's see PCO stack on both sides. Blaze getting that back-to-back going, but that board isn't looking great. Not very conducive to building more back-to-back. And there's the break. Is the timing good enough? And it is. Shadow down at the bottom of the board. Just kind of waiting for that garbage to come in. Gets that garbage. Quad. Another player doing a ton of APM right now, just trying to keep their boards clean, keep things in order, get ready for whatever attacks come in. Plays with the misdrop there is going to slow them down. Plays getting some T-spin set up here. Tato has a very nice well. There's a 12 spike with it. But Blaze is sending some pretty messy garbage to Tato's board. They're getting through it and have that clean well ready to go underneath, and Blaze's board's not looking great. They have that eye dependency, but no high piece, and Tato keeping this close. Openers come out. Tato with a misdrop on their opener is going to cut that short for them. But they get into that well, and Blaze's board is also not looking great. Blaze up the top with that J misdrop. Many lead exchanges here so far. Some fast opener gaming from Blaze right now, who breaks early. Tato gets that back-to-back going, but the board's not looking great. They break as Blaze is just continuing to 3.3 PPS this stack, not really accepting much garbage right now. Tato trying to start on this down stack. Yeah, Blaze just not letting any garbage sit on their board right now. Immediately down stacking through all of it. Tato has a little bit of cheese right now. 5 rows of cheese that they're going to have to get through before they can get to that clean garbage. Blaze struggling with this T-spin just a little bit. Tato has a small spike, but Blaze is mostly unaffected. Blaze with some nice floating T-spin setup here. Tato in a 9-0. Little bit of well coverage from both sides right here. Blaze looking to open that up right now. They need to do so soon. They find the well in time and continue on the downstack with a nice 13 spike from the garbage. 10 spike here, trying to close this out. And after a long round, we are tied yet again. Fast open from Blaze here. Tato gets the back-to-back though. All spins continuing on with this, and there's a 20 spike. Blaze breaks as well. We end up pretty even. Tato just trying to get a hang of their board right now, and they do not find their footing quickly enough. Blaze takes the point. Rare round of openers getting set off without a misdrop here. Blaze finds the back-to-back and breaks it. Tato's board's not looking great. A little bit of combo down stack to start cleaning things up. Both players going for kind of small combos here, just to cheese up their opponent's board and get some consistent damage going. Play's leaving a hole in the board. It's going to turn their quad into a triple, and that L piece is going to mess up their board a little bit further, but there's the fix, there's the cleanup. Plays with a little bit of ST stacking over here. ST or LST. That LST is netting them a lot of back-to-back right now. There's a hole in the board that they're going to have to address at some point. I think they tried to break back-to-back. There's the break. The break finds the point for our first 2-round lead of this matchup. DT Cannon, my beloved. That's going to get set off here. And it looks like both players are going to be taking some skins here. Plays with some messy garbage on the board that they're going to have to downstack into. Setting up that T-spin a little bit greedy right there, but works out for them as they have the pieces to downstack. I-piece goes in the well. And Flays finds maybe a little bit of momentum there to try to keep them on top for the rest of this match. Spike comes through to Teto's side as Flays gets that back-to-back going. Playing really quickly right now. There's the back-to-back break with the 12 spike, but Teto stays alive. Taking a moment to think about their board. The messy garbage comes in on Teto's side. They were looking to cancel it, but didn't quite cancel everything. And that team misdrop is going to seal their fate, as Flays is now on a roll. Unsure on whether this is a 4-point win streak or 5. I think it's 4, but I could be wrong. Flays just going for this 5-4 upstack, whereas Teto was going for some sort of all-spins machine. Flays just going for speed here, and it almost works out, but Teto stays alive. Teto's choosing to downstack here rather than going for the all-spin setups. Plays with a combo downstack right here, but they're at the top, and that is the point for Teto. Definitely was a little too comfortable right there at the top. It's understandable to be comfortable when you have a lead like that, but this is definitely still winnable for Teto. Flays has that well covered as Teto is maybe looking for an O piece and not seeing it soon enough in their queue. But Flays with the 21 spike there catches Teto off guard. Yeah, they had that T piece. Maybe was a little greedy to set up that T spin, but the misdrop on the T piece is what sealed their fate. Flays in this fast 5-4 upstack. Teto trying to find some sort of response through all of this. Has the back-to-back, breaks it up at the top. Flays is just continuing to stride this out right now. Teto's board not looking great. That's not the garbage you exactly want to see when you look down, but there's the pieces to get out. Ooh, the back-to-back ding there, and Flays does not even have to break it. They do take the win, so we saw a very close early game but Flays ran away with that in the late game, and that was a losers round match. So that means that Flays is going to continue on in that losers bracket, and Teto is going to be knocked out of this bracket entirely. Yeah, and I see the call out for predictions. I can do that once I know what our next matchup's going to be. Yeah, I see. Wait, I want to ask Steven if they have a nickname that they go by.
Recipe for success.
Okay, so hopefully they give me an answer on whether or not they prefer a nickname there. But it looks like we are going to continue on in our losers round. Okay, they've asked that I just say the full thing. Most rounds you've gotten in a set in H-Nest. Well, congratulations. Very exciting. But yeah, we're just working on getting players in the lobby. Okay, there we go. Steven versus Inkley. Okay, I can set this up. Okay, I have to close out the last prediction. Start prediction. And then submission period 2 minutes. Okay, there you go. There's your prediction. Looks like we are going to go for a warm-up here. So we will get that started and get that to you soon. We see an early misdrop from Steven here. Inkley's setting up a J-spin triple. Inkley's slowing down and taking their time to think about this. Keeping that all spins, keeping that back to back going. The 36 spike there pushes Steven up to the top, and that's our warm up. All right, players are ready, so we will get that started soon. And I do want to point out that this is very low X versus very high U. So when you see X and U on the screen, you may think that this is a very lopsided matchup, but not quite here. TKI versus Stick Spin. Inkley with some misdrops as they were going for that LST setup. Inkley, that's not the greatest board, but they get things working. Steven's just working on this back-to-back right now, which is a smart thing to be doing in their situation. Steven continuing with the back-to-back advantage does break there. A little bit more of a defensive break, not a lot of follow-up to it. Now Staven's up the top. Include with the 15 spike, but Staven has the defense that they need. And that will be the first point. Gasho versus PCO stack here. Staven with the two-spin triple setup. Thankfully with the early break. Staven breaks as well. Including just spamming out these all spins to keep that back-to-back going. And there's the -8 on Staven's board. Include the 28 spike there on that break. Very clean break, and that is going to be the round. TKIs from both sides. Staven bringing that into an LST. Hopefully going a bit more freestyle, finding some all spins along the way. Hopefully taking a moment to think about their all spins. There's the -9 on a Staven's board as Igley is continuing to stack really cleanly. Combo down stack for a Staven, but all of that is used defensively as Igley is continuing to build up that back-to-back. There's that back-to-back 9. Igley looks like they're gonna have to break here. They do. Smaller down stack spike there, but a Staven still gets that messy garbage from that. Ooh, and Igley finds the kill as Staven's just pushed up to the top there. Doesn't have the pieces to get out. That TP is just way too late in the queue for them there. Gasho versus PCO stack. Igley just one piece off of that full all clear there. That would have helped with the back-to-back. But the back-to-back is still cooking there for Igley as we do see that -10, but that miss drop is going to force them to break. They're going to have to find a way out. They do find their way out on the down stack here. But Staven finds the pressure to bring us tied. MKO versus SDPC spin. Different openers from both sides this time. Igley with the earlier break and the miss drop. The IP sticks to the well. Staven breaks, pushing Igley up to the top, and that O-shaped hole in the board is never good. Never a good sign, never a shape you want to have on your board. Gasho versus TKI. Igley all spinning. Staven finds an early spike, but Igley does not even have to break. They can just continue with this, and the break because of the spike from Staven, who's now down stacking from the top. TST setup. A C's been set up actually from the Staven, and the TST is what gets the kill. Igley did have misdrops over on the side, so that did not help them out, but we see a 2-point lead for Staven here. Staven with the break here. Igley has the clean well to handle the break from a Staven. Igley with a well covered right now is not in the greatest spot. They have the pieces to get out. There's the survival continuing to stay alive right now. There's the combo down stack. A Staven trying to find a kill. They find the back-to-back though. That's a nice catch forward from Staven to keep this going. They're continuing to build up this back-to-back. mainly just going for T-spins and quads, not really going for the all-spin gaming right now. And there's the break. The break is immediately met with that -9 on the top of the board, though. Inkley breaks, and Staven doesn't have the pieces to get out. Very well played by Inkley to come back from that there. Stick spin versus PCO stack in our opener game here. Nice J spin there from Inkley. A nice L spin to follow that up. Both players with the back-to-back right now. Inkley with the defensive break. A little bit of cheese ends up on Staven's board, and that -9 greets them, and they have decided that that's all for that round. We have a misrotate on the T-spin from the opener for Staven, who's going to be on cleanup duty for a little bit. Inkley's board looking interesting as they do have to break that there. A little bit of messy garbage on the Staven's board. Looks like they're just going to opt to down stack this. A couple of skims along the way. As Inkley's all spinning here. Inkley skims down. Staven definitely looked like they were sacrificing some board state for back-to-back there, and they didn't even find the back-to-back. Multiple eye dependencies on the board wasn't looking great for them, but they find what they need to get out. That -9 is looming, though. There's the T-spins, and there's the well access there that Staven needs to stay alive. Definitely trying to pressure and get Inkley to break here, but Inkley is taking all of this like a champ. There's the 19 spike there, and Staven is more than okay to continue stacking. And gets into the well, almost finds the kill. Inkley staying alive. Inkley gets into their wells there. Clean counted for by Staven, who breaks. Staven sees that -8 at the top of the board, trying to keep everything clean right now. Inkley with the eye spin covers the well and then breaks the back-to-back. Inkley with a misdrop on that O piece right there. Definitely isn't going to help them out. Both players are kind of going back and forth right now. Nobody getting too big of a spike. Staven has that well access right now, and Inkley has that back-to-back going. Staven with some nice clean stacking and some nice clean garbage to work with. Staven breaks. Inkley not in the best spot. Gets the all-spin that they were going for. Staven setting up that C-spin right there and immediately misdropping that S piece. Staven trying to think about what they want to do with their pieces. There's the out, there's the pieces, but it is just a little bit too much damage from Inkley, who brings down that point differential to 1. TKI versus Sixpin here. Staven in an 8-1 stack. Breaks out of it, and Inkley accepts a lot of messy garbage. Staven follows that up with a little bit of attack, and that is going to be the round. Staven almost messing up their opener there, but finding the right piece in time. Back to the setup from Staven. Staven up at the top. Down stacking, has this fractal set up, waiting for the T pieces. Sets up another fractal. Inkley hasn't broken back to back though. There's the break, there's the 33 spike, and that finds the kill. Inkley here with the back-to-back. Inkley continuing building up that back-to-back. Astaven trying to build up the back-to-back on their own. Astaven breaks it. Inkley still isn't broken. There's the break from Inkley with the 29 spike, the 30 spike, 35 there. And that is just a little bit too much for Astaven to handle, bringing it 6-all. Inkley with the early miss drop there is going to give Astaven an early back-to-back lead. Clean S-spin triple on the side from Inkley. Astaven with a miss drop over the well. Has to burn the eyepiece to fix it, but there's the next eyepiece. Things looking good, mostly, for Astaven, who's up at the top and, yeah, doesn't have the pieces to get out. Gasho versus PCO stack. Inkley with some nice all spins to keep that well access. There's the break with the 16 spike. Astaven up at the top, but there's some clean wells that they have waiting for them. Inkley's now the one up at the top. Has the eyepiece. Has the next few pieces, but that well's currently covered, and Astaven finds the pressure, keeping this tied up. Both players getting back-to-back going. Inkley with the earlier break. Astaven breaks as well. Astaven's the one who's up at the top, but Inkley's out of material, and Inkley misdrops that eyepiece right there. That's going to make sure that they do not find the kill. Inkley trying to spin the piece in there. It's pretty clean, but it's not fast enough, and Astaven takes that point. Ooh, Inkley with the misdrop right there. But a really clean way to continue the back-to-back. Astaven though with the 22 spike. 22 spike and not even breaking right there is insane, but they continue going for that back-to-back. I was wondering if that was going to be a bad move there and if they should have just broken right there. But they find the kill without having to break. TKI into LST from both sides. Inkley's the first to find back-to-back. Astaven takes a couple of skims. Inkley with the 18 spike. Trying to pressure Astaven, who has to break in response. The 19 spike comes through with the break from Inkley. Astaven breaks as well. There's a -9 on Astaven's board as Inkley's continuing to build up that back-to-back. Astaven now up at the top. Inkley pausing a little bit. Maybe not entirely sure what to do. Both players down stacking. Inkley has a little bit of a combo going. Ooh, Inkley was trying to set up like a mech heart shape right there, and if they'd gotten it off, it would have been a really nice play. But instead, Astaven has the kill, and they're now on match point. Staven in a 5-4 upstack right now. Chooses to skim. If he gets that back-to-back and breaks it, that well is covered. That board does not look good. Inkly's setting up the bold C-spin right here. Definitely knows that they have to go for some insane plays if they want to come back here. But Staven has the back-to-back, and there's the -9 on Inkly's board. Inkly has the clean garbage. They have their way in. They were looking for the C-spin setup right there. They find it. They stay alive, barely. All spins from Inkly as Staven's up at the top, doesn't have well access, and that is going to be Inkly staying alive here. PCO stack versus stick spin. Staven taking time to think about how they want to play this. Looks like an accidental break there from a Staven as Inkly has this 4-5 power stack going on right now and is just sending out as much damage as possible. The -8 appears on the Staven's board, but a Staven has a clean well and an easy path to clearing their board. This is definitely not over as Inkly continues to all spin. Staven's going to have to try to pressure out here. They get the piece for the spin, but the well and the eyepiece do not line up. Also, a reminder that there is no deuce here, so this is just a clean first to 11. The Staven with the early back-to-back and a misdrop there on the L piece that's going to force them to break. And Inkly's up the top. Inkly finds the 14 spike. But Staven has clean wells. Inkly also has clean wells, but where's the eyepiece? The eyepiece is not there, and we can see the frustration in Inkly's piece as they were just waiting for that eyepiece. Yeah, so our U rank beats our X rank there. Pretty exciting. Nope, wait, I had it backwards. No, a Staven was the X rank. Inkly was the U rank. My bad. Okay, at least I checked. Gotta correct myself. Okay, so let me close out the prediction. There we go. 100% of points were put on a Staven there. Yeah, unfortunate part about predictions on Twitch is that it does require people to be on both sides. Inkly types in the chat, I didn't even know this was double Elin. Well, I think they learned. Alright, and it looks like we're going to see Tizago versus Blaze, which is another losers quarterfinals match. Yes, our last one was losers quarterfinals as well. So, Staven advances on into losers semifinals. Zago says no warm-up, and Flaze says yes. So we'll be having a warm-up there then. All right, warm-up starting here. I'm just getting the prediction going. All right. Zago up at the top right now sets up an STSD at the top of the board because what else would she do? And that STSD does just finish off that warm-up round. All right, players exchanging GLHFs as we will get this started in just a moment. All right, and there's our matchup screen showing that this is extremely close by TR, probably our closest one. All right, both players starting off fast, and Blaze does misdrop as a result. Suzako's board also looking a little messy. Suzako's setting up some all spins here, taking a moment to think about her board. Ooh, Flays with a misdrop there. Suzako's up the top, gets the Z piece to get out, but Flays finds enough pressure to get the round. Suzago going for this extended SDPC spin here. Finds the first of the attack, but the eyepiece is a little late in that bag to get the full spike. But she does find enough to get the kill. 1-1. Plays with the small spike that puts Suzago up high. Suzago breaks. Color clears on the way down. Plays with some messy garbage. Suzago with what looks like a misdrop on that Z piece right there, looking to fix it. I spin. That puts the -9 at the top of Flaze's board. Suzago with a well-timed break gets that round. TKI versus SDPC spin. Suzago thinking a bit about how to get this board clean. And the TST setup comes a little bit too late. And Flaze finds the pressure to kill. Suzago going for extended SDPC spin. Flaze preparing to accept this incoming garbage. Flaze in a pretty good spot after that opener, but there is the -8 at the top of the board that does appear. As Suzago continues building up the back-to-back, there's the break in a 14 spike. Flaze defends against most of it. Suzago looking to follow this up a little bit more, but Flaze is A-okay. Has a little Z misdrop over to the side that's gonna give them no well access for a sec, but they get it back. Suzago is like a center 2-wide setup-ish here. Plays in a 1-8 stack that they just skim out of. Suzago up at the top. There's some of the pieces to get out. Goes for the T-spin setup up at the top, but Flaze finds the pressure, finds the round. LST from Flaze there, but the misdrop is going to cut them short. However, the break due to the misdrop is extremely well timed as Suzago was not ready, so a little bit of a blessing in disguise. Both players getting that back-to-back at almost the exact same time. Suzago breaks. Flaze is continuing to build this up here. Flaze breaks, but has the clean well ready to go. Suzago has a couple of smaller wells, isn't really going to be able to get back-to-back for a bit. Ooh, okay. Suzago stays alive. She found the pieces. She found the down stack. Suzago sending a little bit of cheese here, but FaZe is defending against it. It's not really getting to their board at all. FaZe with the 10 spike. It's a little bit of pressure on Tizago. FaZe with some immediate misdrops there. Almost looking like a fractal setup, but they decided to just down stack it there. Honestly, a good decision given the garbage that's under the board. Ooh, Tizago with the spike there does put FaZe in a bad spot. There's some of the pieces to get out, but Tizago continues to try to pressure. FaZe gets out of this here and has a nice spike. Tizago up at the top, breaks. Starts a little bit of combo down stack. As we're weirdly even here, minute 30 in. Oh, that's bold. Yeah, okay. A little bit of a greedy move from FaZe there up at the top. Tizago scheming a little bit early on here. FaZe with a misdrop. That's going to force him to break back to back early. There comes the break. FaZe with a small spike. Tizago looking to build up that back to back. There's the beginning of it. Not quite counting to 4 over that well yet, but I'm guessing she's going to do that soon. Ooh, the misdrop on the S piece there means that she's going to have to break. FaZe doesn't really have a lot of material to work with right now, but there's the T-spin. Does it seal the deal? Not quite, but the follow-up does. MS2 versus DT Cannon. Always love to see the openers come out. There's the PC follow-up to the MS2 there. Tizago was looking to go for another PC. Tizago now up at the top, gets the 2 eye pieces she needs, misdrops that T-spin. FaZe in this 6-3 stack up on top of the garbage is just looking to get some damage out. That they do, and it is 6-3. Tizago sets off the C-spin here. STSD from Tizago in the middle of the board. Tizago all spinning. Breaks early on. FaZe accepts and breaks. FaZe starting this out right now. Has a combo down stack, but doesn't really get to Tizago's board. FaZe with a misdrop and the eyepiece covering the well over the misdrop. Usually that's a death sentence, but FaZe navigates it well. But that -10 at the top of the board is just going to keep growing as Tizago's down at the bottom. Tizago's board isn't great. She does break, and that break is well timed and finds the point. FaZe with a misdrop on the opener. Tizago sets off the C-spin. Both players doing a bit of skimming right now, and FaZe is the one who has the messier garbage between the two players. As Tizago's down at the bottom, now has the luxury of sending that clean garbage, trying to pressure FaZe up to the top. The L spin all the way in there is very cheeky. Tizago may be looking for another L spin triple. The break comes through though, as the L spin triples do have to end at some point. FaZe missed rotating that T piece, or rather neglecting to rotate that T piece, going for the mini T spin, but that is just going to turn to nothing instead. There's the down stack, and that's cheese. That is cheese on Tizago's board. Tizago responding with 4 lines of secret grade, or I guess like 3, not entirely sure. FaZe is gravity dropping the piece, which is always a little silly to see when things are going this fast. That is a bold T-spin setup there from FaZe, and maybe a misdrop or 2. Can Tizago capitalize off of that misdrop? It's looking like it. Tizago breaks and gets the point. There was a decent window there for Tizago to realize that she could win if she breaks, so I'm glad she finds it. We're seeing similar openers from both sides, but we're going to see different continuations, just different C-spins. Tizago with the 23 spike does put pressure onto Flays, but they get their board into a decent state in time. A lot of exchanges back and forth right now, but Blaze is the one with the messier board. Tizago with a little bit of greeting. Tizago with a slight misdrop, going to be skimmed out of pretty easily. Flays is what appears to be intentionally 1-8 stacking for a little bit. Flays not exactly finding that well access quickly enough, and Tizago's gonna tie this up. PCO stack versus SDPC spin. Tizago breaks that back-to-back with a misdrop. Small spike out of it. Plays with a bit of pressure, but Tizago has the pieces. She is a clean board. She does cover the well, but she's got her way out. Tizago with a 15 spike. Ooh, misdrop from Blaze. They tried to put the eyepiece in the well, but it went in the column next to it. We're about even here, I would say, as Tizago does have that clean garbage bottle with 2. I'm assuming she can get down into it. She definitely can. Was just trying to be a little bit fancy around it. Fancy to set up a spike like that. The follow-up does get the kill. And guys, what is the score? Is that a 6-7? Plays in an LST. Ooh, misdropping the LST. Tizago's gonna be the one to get back to back. Assuming she... Okay, interesting. The eye spin. Okay. The 13 spike comes out from Tizago. Plays is looking fine. Ooh, that S drop is gonna slow them down, but they do find their well. Tizago has pieces, finds the spike, and finds the follow-up as Plays has the response. Plays sets up the T-spin. There's the 15 spike, and that does find the kill. C-spin from Tizago here. She sets that off and looks to get into the garbage. Doesn't even really need to get into that much garbage to get the point. SDPC spin, but that does get misdropped here from Tizago. Blaze might have an opening here, but Tizago skims out of it and cleans up her board quickly enough. Both players doing a bit of skimming right now. Now they're really finding back-to-back. Plays up at the top, doesn't have the I pieces to get out. Those two J pieces are not what they need in that situation. Tizago's starting to pull closer to that finish line, trying to stay alive in this bracket. Tizago gets back to back first, continues it with all spins. Plays with some quick response in the form of T-spins. There's the -8, there's the break. Plays accepts all of it. Down stacks, Tizago's up at the top. The pieces aren't looking good, and that is the round. Tizago is the one who's accepted more garbage here, but sends that right over. Tizago's clean well access and Plays is up at the top. Plays gets into the well, but Tizago doesn't find enough damage. Plays with a misdrop. Tizago setting up this fractal into quad. Gets all of that right in a row, and the 26 spike gets the kill. Tizago's on match point here in this losers quarterfinals match. MS2 versus just a 6-3 upstack. The PC almost kills Plays right there. Not quite. Tizago would have had the second PC, as we can see. Plays down stacks through that garbage and puts Tizago up at the top now. Plays doesn't have too much material to work with to pressure after that, so Tizago sends over the 12 spike. Plays with that misdrop. Takes a moment to evaluate the possibilities. Starts stacking, and that Z misdrop over on the side is game. And that is Tizago advancing on to losers semifinals to face Saban. Sick. Alright, and it looks like we may stay on board with losers bracket, though I'm not entirely sure. I have to close out the prediction. No, it does look like we'll hop back up to winners. Okay. So it looks like this will be FE versus Civ. Alright, so we're working on getting players into the lobby. And yep, there are matchup screens right there. So Seed 1 versus Seed 2. We saw them play earlier on in the stream, but you can see the rating difference there. And if we look at stats, I mean, it's clear that FE has the advantage here. There's a reason for them being the 1 seed, but you never know what Civ can pull out here. Alright, looks like players are in the room. So we're just going to check to see if they'd like to do a warm-up and get things going. Oh, very exciting. The prediction actually has people predicting both sides of it. Wow, love to see it. All right, looks like we are having a warm up here. So we will get that started soon. All right, warm up is starting. PCO stack versus Gasho to open this up. Effie was quite the interesting setup. Sad we didn't get to see what they were going to do with that one. Quick warm up there. Civ wins. All right, we are getting this started. Players have exchanged their GLHFs, and it is time for winners finals here. Effie with some misdrops, several misdrops actually. Going fast to clean that up. Will Civ find the kill in that time? Not quite, but Civ does find the back-to-back. Effie continuing to downstack. The break comes in from Civ, but Effie gets a handle on their board just in time. Ooh, the S-spin triple there. Civ with a lot of impending garbage, but a lot of cancel power. Effie with some misdrops there, and yeah, that Z-spin isn't going to solve much. Civ has an opening. Doesn't kill, but does put a lot of messy garbage on that board. Has back-to-back and continues to cheese up Effie's board. Effie sees that -9, and Civ is the first one to score. Effie with some floating T-spin set up here. Takes them all at once. Put that -7 on Civ's board. Civ is just going to see that continue to tick up as Effie all spins. Civ just trying to stay low and keep their board in a good spot for the incoming attack. Getting back-to-back going as well. Effie breaks in the 34 spike. Civ has some of the pieces to get out, but Effie's follow-up is just too much for Civ to handle. And we see 1-all. Both players setting up that STSD right there. Very similar openings. Both were building that back-to-back at a similar rate, but Civ had to break as they were high up on the board. Effie with another STSD over on the side. There's the break with the 22 spike. Civ stays alive and in a good spot. But the follow-up from Effie. Yeah, Civ just had that well covered. Didn't have the pieces, didn't have the out. Stick spin from Effie. Civ accepting a little bit of garbage here. Effie with the back-to-back advantage yet again. Opens up the well. Effie breaks with a misdrop right there as Civ is able to maintain that back-to-back. Civ breaks in the 34 spike. 2-all. Civ with some all spins. Getting that well access. Civ breaks. Effie's continuing to build this up, but Effie actually breaks right after. Ooh, Effie with the eyepiece misdrop leaves that giant well. And Civ gets the point. Civ quickly getting all spins going. I don't know if that eyepiece placement was a misdrop, but either way, it doesn't work out nicely for Civ. Ooh, oh, almost handles the incoming spike break from Effie, but not quite. Civ sits off that STSD in the middle of the board again. Effie has their own STSD. Turns that second T-spin into a T-spin triple. Civ with the 23 spike there. Effie doesn't even break. The break comes in from Effie. That break was not intentional there. Effie gets that count to 4 going, gets that well access. The Civ is up at the top with some clean garbage and a nice stack to work with. Effie breaks. Civ accepts that without breaking. The break comes through. The 29 spike from Civ finds the round. Guys from both sides do the best same sequence setup in the middle of the board that we've seen a couple times. Effie sets up this fractal in the center of the board and breaks with that 18 spike. A very nice spike, but Civ has the well access and stays alive. Civ's board is messy though. Look at that cheese. That is not the board you want. And Effie's just all spinning to continue to put that cheese on the board. Just all of these all spin singles, all spin doubles are just going to continue cheesing up Civ's board. Civ has done a good job of not accepting the past few increments of cheese. Effie breaks. Civ stays alive, and that's clean garbage on Civ's board. That's a nice well. Maybe Civ can find a kill with it, and they do, bringing them to a 2-point lead as the underdog in this matchup. Civ with that early PC. Effie with the early break. Ooh, Civ doing a great job defending against that right there. Even has well access to Effie though. Finds the kill, closes it out. Gasho versus Six Spin. Both players getting that back-to-back going. Civ is the first to break. Effie accepts that without having to break. A little bit of mech heart shape in the center of the board here. As Civ gets that well access, the all-spin to get the well access is clean. And Effie with the misdrops at the top of the board can't even break to save themselves right there. Wow. Very nice point for Civ there. A little bit of luck can sometimes take you a long way. A little bit of timing. But we're back to all spinning. And Effie with the bold STSD, and there's the out, and there's the misdrop on the O keys. I don't think that this is livable for Effie, but there's the combo down stack staying alive anyways. There's a misdrop there. And that is going to be the round. Civ, the underdog in this matchup, getting alarmingly close to that 11 points lead for the win. Effie just 4.5 PPS striding this right now, and Civ's board not looking amazing. There's the -11 at the top, and Effie responds. Quick point. Civ sets up this SCSD in the center of the board, and that's a very clean well for them to work into. Effie that was just striding 4 PPS, just sending out this damage, and that is a misdrop from Effie. They don't live. And Civ takes another point. SDPC spin here from Effie, switching it up just a little bit. Effie bringing this into the V6 stack. Hasn't really accepted much yet so far. 4.5 PPS. It looks like there may be a break soon in Effie's future. There's the break, the 24 spike. Effie desperate to bring this back in their favor. Do not want to go down into that loser's bracket, clearly. Effie finds the PC and is setting up for that DPC. Just chooses to build back to back instead. The break with the 26 spike doesn't even find its way on the Civ's board. Civ breaks and we're about even. Civ's well is covered. There's the pieces to get out. A little bit of hesitancy on this. Hesitation's not what you need when your opponent's going 4.2 PPS on you. And that minus 16 is not looking good. That well is not available, and Effie breaks just for good measure. But already had the kill. MKO, SDPC spin. Civ breaks. Effie breaks. Effie finds the follow-up pressure. Civ stays alive, but the L misdrop. L misdrop kills Civ there, and we are 8-all. Nice response here from Effie to try to bring the momentum back in their favor. Civ with the early break, and Effie's well is covered. The misdrop could not have come at a worse time for Effie. Civ just 2 points away from taking this. MKO, 6-spin. Civ with quite the little T-spin contraption, sets that off. Effie is ST stacking for a little bit right now. Brings that over into LST. Continuing to build up the back-to-back advantage right now as the minus 15 looms at the top of Civ's board. The count to 4 forecasting there from Effie looks great, and that's going to be a break from Effie. The follow-up comes through, and Civ does not have enough of a response. I mean, it's tough when you have that minus 18 back-to-back differential. Sometimes it feels like there's not much you can do, but we're tied up. Both players spiking. Both players breaking, and Effie wins the spike off right there to bring it to match point again. No deuce here, so first to 11 takes it and moves it on to grand finals. Effie with the all spins, but there's the misdrop. The misdrop isn't going to be exactly what they want. The early break comes through, and Civ is alive. Civ cleans up their board really well, and Effie with some more misdrops. Effie on cleanup duty. Civ is skimming here, doesn't have back-to-back. Didn't quite take advantage of the opening that they had. And that is game. Wow. Effie brings that back from a 5-8 deficit, brings it to 10-9. Amazing run there from Effie. They will be going on to grand finals, and Civ will be going down to losers finals. Losers finals is going to be Civ versus the winner of Tizago and Estevan, which is going to be our next match. Let me close that prediction out. Yeah, so Effie is our winner. And then next one is Tizago Saban. All right, there we go. Predictions up if you're interested. We're just waiting for players to get in the lobby here, but yep, there's our matchup screen. Saban with the advantage here, but definitely doable. All right. Oh yeah, our players were in the lobby. It's just that one of the players from the last match did not move themselves from playing to spectating, but we're good. Okay, it looks like we're doing warm-up here. All right, losers semifinals. It is time. You see some LST to start us off. Saving with the early back-to-back, but Tizago forces them to break. Tizago's up at the top, not looking great. There's the eye piece. Saban doesn't find the kill within the opening. Sets up the T-split triple instead. Tizago with the Z-spin triple there. And the combo down stack, but it doesn't really get over to Saban's side, as a lot of it is used for cancel. Tizago and the T-spin triple there that was never meant to be going to be the death of her in the warm-up round. All right, we will be moving into our match now. We do see challenge ups exchanged by the players. Tizago misdropping the SCPC spin there. Estevan also appears to have misdropped. Both players getting a handle on their boards yet again. Tizago gets that back-to-back first, though. Tizago breaks there. Estevan misdrops. They break. This isn't looking good for Estevan here, who just put another hole in the board. Looking for the OPs to get out. Zago's board looking a little bit like modern art here as she's trying to get a handle on this. Doesn't find it fast enough, and Esteban gets our first point. Zago sets off her T-spin as Esteban had Gasho on their board. Ooh, misdrops from Esteban. That's going to be a break there. Zago's up the top, has the opportunity to do something with Esteban's bad board state as they're just still struggling to get down through this. Zago does find the kill. Bring us 1-all. Zago has the 8 back-to-back advantage. We do see the -8 appear on Esteban's board, but Esteban's keeping this low, keeping them in a good spot to receive, hopefully. Yep, there's the break from Zago, and Esteban has kept their board in a good enough spot to accept that. Zago does have some cheese on the other side of that break, but works through it. Trying to I-spin there. I-spin kick was not quite there, and Esteban finds the 14 spike while Zago does not have the pieces to get that well access. So that'll be the point going to Esteban. Esteban finds the PC. Zago's now up at the top. The thing about that PC though is there's not really much you can do after it as your board has nothing on it. So that gives Zago the time to stay alive and even pressure Esteban, whose board is not looking great. There's the well access but no eye piece. And then the eye misdrop there cuts them off from the well even further. Oh, the J misdrop is so much worse. That'll do them in. Gasho versus MS2. Ooh, the 21 spike from Esteban leaves Zago in a spot where she can't really do anything. So that'll be the point. Extended SCPC spin. Esteban finds the PC. That puts Zago over the top. That's the thing about Extended. Extended is so greedy. You cover that well access with that C-spin or even just like the little one Mino to create the C-spin. Your opponent does too much, then you just can't do anything. Zago finding the all clear on her opener. Looking to continue to pressure. Another all clear comes through, but those aren't going to do too much damage. Esteban misdrops 2 TBCs on the side in an honestly like rather impressive and artistic way, but sadly it's not survivable. Or is yeah, no, not survivable. Zago has the C-spin ready to go. Ooh, Esteban almost loses control of their board there. Cutting off that well access and getting it back to Zago's in this 9-0 stack right now, counting to 4 to get that next well access, looking to get back to back right now. She finds it and she breaks instantly. And Esteban does not have well access and cannot save their board. An O misdrop looks like didn't help them out, but it was still a tough situation. Now we're tied at 4. Gasho versus MS2. Saga sets off that T-spin and a little bit of follow-up too. Some all spinning alongside of it. Saga breaks in the 13 spike. Steven doesn't have the well access they need, and one final attack from Tizago will give it the point. SDPC spin from Tizago. Both players break, ending up in a relatively even spot. Tizago now up at the top, gets the I piece but can't really access it, tosses the S piece off to the side, sacrifices the board state to stay alive, and she doesn't get down in time. Tied yet again. Both players going for SDPC spin, mirrored from each other. Saban just plonking this because they know they have that well access. Saban breaks. Tizaga's board is a mess. And that'll be the point. STPC spin versus TKI into LST. Staven misdrops right there, but they'll be able to fix that relatively easily. Tizago, however, is building up that back-to-back. The -9 appears on a Staven's board. Tizago breaks, and Staven's board is fine after that. And they find the kill. 7-5 here in this first 2-11. Staven misdrops early on. Tizago is going for, is that a double extended SDPC spin? Are you insane? Yeah, that's what you deserve. Yeah, that's what should happen to everybody who double extended SDPC spins. 8-5. Extended SDPC spin from Tizago comes out. I was wondering if Staven was going to go for a bit more of a multiplier there on that combo down stack, but they decided to just stop it there for the sake of keeping their board clean, which honestly is smart. However, they've completely misplaced that S piece and miscounted their board, so they don't have the T spin ready to go. The -8 appears on Tizago's board. Staven breaks and leaves Tizago with some messy garbage. Tizago's now up at the top, has the pieces to get down for a little while, but Staven is continuing to pressure. Has that back-to-back ready to go, and the break does not even need to come through. Oh, Tizago was looking for an I spin. That's what was going on there. Staven just 2 points away from moving into that losers finals against Civ. Staven finds that PC, and that's going to force Tizago out of the extended SDPC spin, which is honestly huge. Staven is looking for another. Yep, there's your third PC there. Okay. Honestly, sure. Have some fun with it. However, like in that time, you maybe could have found the kill. Okay, you still found the kill. Okay, fine. You know what? Whatever. Have fun. Take your 3 PCs and take your time to try to find a 4th. Match point here for Staven. Are they're center forwarding? I'm just baffled at this right now. Okay, so the center forward doesn't do much. A little bit of BMing. Saving them some all spins to keep that board clean. Honestly, good for them for thinking of that in that moment. Tizago tried to pressure though. Esteban breaks up the top. Tizago looking to continue this and find the kill. Does she find it? Esteban has somebody out, but that Z miss drop gives Tizago the point. So because of the shocking success of the center 4-wide last round, we've decided to center 4-wide again this round. And then on the other side is the extended SDPC spin. And you know what? It ends up, the extended SDPC spin sends the messier garbage than the center 4-wide. Funny how that happens. Anyways, Tizago is not in a great spot up top here. Esteban just covered there well. So okay. Tizago with a little bit of a sun there, but at the bottom of the board now, no material to work with. Tizago about to build up that back-to-back, finds the all-spin to do so, thinking about what they want to do with their board. Some clean all-spinning going on here as Esteban breaks, skims out of any chance to find back-to-back. Tizago continuing to build that up. Esteban sets up that floating T-spin. That break comes in, not enough follow-up to do anything there. And now Tizago's up at the top. the I-spin there from Tizago comes through. The twice I-spin. Tizago's the one building up the back-to-back now. Esteban maybe looking for some pieces to keep their back-to-back going, but not quite finding them. It looks like, yep, now is where they're going to get that back-to-back. Tizago breaks in a 25 spike. Esteban accepts this without breaking and is going to continue on the back-to-back journey as Tizago has that well covered. She uncovers it, but that minus 13 is staring up at her from the top of the board. Tizago keeping things clean. The small spike here. Esteban breaks. Tizago looking dire up at the top, uses the eyepiece to clear things out. The second eyepiece isn't coming quickly enough. There it is. There's the eyepiece. There's the survival, and Esteban with quite the greedy setup over here as we are 2 minutes into this. Looks like it is coming to an end here. Tizago finds the point. See SDPC spin versus extended SDPC spin, and now we are plonking our C-spins, unsurprisingly. Tizago breaks with the 27 spike. A couple of clutch clears come through from Esteban, who almost lives. Almost. One more eyepiece and that would have done it. Gonna go for the eye spin there. Yeah, you're going for the eye spin and it's great, but look at your queue. Like the garbage queue is what I was referring to. And now this is looking extremely winnable for Tizago. Maybe Esteban regrets opening up with center 4-wide twice when they were on match point. Do they lock in here, or does Tizago continue on with her reign of terror? Sequence from Esteban does end it. All right, that is it for our losers semifinals. So now we are going to stay on board with our winner there, Esteban, who's going to face Civ in losers finals. Let me close out the prediction. All right. New one coming. And yep. Okay. 2 minutes. Prediction go. Lovely. All right. Oh gosh, I love seeing this picture of my cat. All right, so we are going to get our players in the lobby here. maybe giving Esteban a little bit of a break as they did just play. But there's our matchup seed, 2 seed versus 3 seed. We did see this exact matchup in the winner side of this, and it was 11-3 in Civ's favor. So we'll see how this rematch goes. It looks like Esteban is requesting a little bit of a break. I don't know how long 1 sec is, but we'll see. Sure, they'll be back soon. How does the Rams defense have 4 interceptions? What did they do? Good for them. Anyways, rematch. High X versus low X here. All right, looks like players are back, ready to go. All right, yep, players are here. And we are off. Looks like we are doing a warm-up. So staying alive, setting up that forecast, and finding the win for the warm-up. All right, players exchanging their GLHFs, and we will get started with this losers finals. All right, so openers get started here. Ooh, and Esteban does miss drop, but keeps things clean. Gets back into this 9-0. Civ with some more flashy all-spins. Some very nice forecasting on Civ's side here as Esteban's just trying to stay alive through all of this. Civ getting that well access going. Esteban up at the top with that -9, that -10 looking at them, and Civ is going to have to break back to back now with that little bit of misstack. Nice S-spin triple there. Esteban just skimming as Civ gets that back to back. Civ up the top. Civ finds the spike. Esteban up at the top, has the eyepiece to get out, trying to stay alive here, but things are not looking great. Sets up a T-spin, almost got it, almost. But Civ finds the kill. Gasho from both sides. Esteban goes for the PC follow-up, where Civ's going for a nice little STST follow-up that we've seen a couple times today. Both players get their all-spins going to get them back-to-back. Esteban has to break up the top. -13 looking them in the eyes. Civ is setting up an STSD at the bottom of the board. Always risky because of the old 1 in 10 that can happen there, but it doesn't seem to phase them. Civ's follow-up here does find the kill. Alright, we're off again with another SDPC spin. Civ setting up for the Z-spin single there. And now Civ is the one with the back-to-back advantage, continuing to build that up, but Civ is at the bottom of the board and is ready to accept whatever's incoming. There's the attack. Civ accepts it, mostly clean. Now both players are at a similar spot on the board. Civ's board is looking messy. That's not a very good spot to be in. There's a couple pieces almost start to get out, but not quite, and Esteban is on the board early here. Civ with the early back-to-back. Esteban finds it quickly after. Both players break. Civ has the larger spike. That's going to put Esteban up the top. Can't do anything, and that is another quick point for Civ. Alright, both players all spinning. Esteban breaks first and sees that -10 up at the top of the board. Civ breaks right after. Very nice that they were able to get that timing. Maybe a little bit of screen watching involved there. Esteban with some misdrops in the center of the board, covers there well, puts them in a bad spot. Civ takes the opportunity to attack, and that is another point. Civ finds back-to-back. Esteban skims out of their back-to-back. Civ very much in control right now. Saban accepts all of that and just gets sent to the Shadow Realm as Civ reaches that halfway point to get back up to Grand Finals. Some all spinning here from Saban to keep that back-to-back advantage, but those misdrops there, that SP's not looking great. It's going to put them in a rough spot, but Civ doesn't have the out right now. And things are going to get relatively even again. As Saban gets that back-to-back going yet again, pressuring Civ, who's up at the top, and does fall. Second point for Saban. Saban with some early misdrops. Civ setting up for the two-spin triple into the I-spin there. Very cheeky, but doesn't have a back-to-back continuation out of it. Saban with this very nice 7-2 well. Taking a moment to pause and think about what they want to do with it here. Civ up at the top. Saban seeing that, seeing if they can get the quick kill, but Civ gets out of it in time. And there's the 19 spike from Civ. Civ pressuring. Saban staying alive. But there is the -9 on a Saban's board. Civ with a nice S-spin. Fractal. The Z-spin. Very stylish, but that I-spin does not count as an I-spin. So that is going to break back-to-back. As Saban has to use the eyepiece to get out and almost has the out. That is so sad. They almost had the out. Civ finds the point. SCDC spin. Civ gets access to the well with some all spins. Another well access, but a misdrop on that S piece afterwards is definitely going to slow Civ down. The Z-spin double comes through. These are some really creative fixes to this rough situation. And the fin. The fin comes out from Civ. Okay. Okay, there's the break. There's the break. I was impressed with how long they were able to keep that going. And that is the point. CPC spin. Both players building that back-to-back right now. Building up that back-to-back at a very similar rate, keeping that very close. Saban is the first to break here. Civ breaks right after, and we end up pretty much even. Saban gets the back-to-back going yet again, and Civ has that well covered. Civ also has some misdrops here that's going to slow him down a bit. There's the O piece. Solve the dependency. The -10 is there. The -11 keeps ticking up for Civ, who's at the top of the board. Should have Saban choose to break. They've definitely got to have some follow-up to this, as Civ has a relatively clean board. Yep, and Civ has the pieces to get out. They find the eyepiece in time, get the combo going, and things are a-okay on Civ's side. Saban covers that well. Finds the well access yet again. Civ's the one building up that back-to-back now, though. Was really thinking that Civ was going for some like fancy all-spin setup that I didn't understand right then, but looks like it really just was going nowhere. Anyways, hold up our player stacking. Gotta get in a statement with the S drop, SP's Miz drop on the side. Is going to give Civ the round. Saban skims out of that during the opener phase, so they are going to be at the back-to-back disadvantage here, as that -9 appears at the top of the screen fairly quickly. Civ with the STSD forecast. Again, a bold STSD at the bottom of the board there, but it works out. The 1 in 10 does not bite them. Small spike from a Staven there. Civ thinking about ultimate setups on the side. Just going for the 180 there. Staven breaks and sees the -13 as Civ is continuing to build up this back-to-back. There's an STSD setup. Goes for the eye spin afterwards. That's bold. That's bold there from Civ, but it works out, and there's the 20. We didn't get to hear the cool sound effect, but there's the break. And Esteban has some combo ability. They had an eyepiece. Yeah, not quite. Just too much damage from Civ, who is on match point. So when a Staven is up and on match point, they center forward. And when they're down and their opponent's on match point, they center forward. I'm seeing a pattern here. The center forward is reserved for match point situations, but only if the score isn't close. And now Civ is just building back to back, but that misdrop, oh, they were lucky that they even had the ability to break that right there. There's the follow-up, the 18 spikes. Staven stays alive. We've had really good survival so far in this set, but there's no survival to be found. And that is it. Civ is victorious in losers finals. We will head back up to grand finals to today's FE yet again. Yeah, so GG's to both players. I'm just gonna close out the prediction real quick. Yeah, so choose outcome, Civ, woo! Okay, prediction. Grand finals. There you go. There's your prediction, everyone. Alright, so we just need to get Effie back in the room, and we will get started on our grand finals. Oh yeah, there is our matchup screen. Just a reminder of how it went last time. It was 11-9 in FE's favor, and it was very, very close. So Civ does have the ability to bring us to tiebreaker here. Bracket reset, that one. That's what it's called. Civ has the ability to bring this to bracket reset here, but FE definitely wants to close this out, so we'll see how this goes. Yeah, we're just going to see if players want their warm up and get this match to you soon. Yeah, I would like to announce to the chat that I'm currently beating Wiley in fantasy football. It's not over yet, but I do 63% win chance, which is pretty good considering it was looking bad for a while. All right, looks like no warm up. Looks like we will be getting straight into this grand finals. Players have exchanged their GLHFs and it is time to go. Both of them setting off that STSD in the middle of the board at the exact same time. Civ with another STSD to follow it up. Civ breaking back to back right there. And, ooh, yikes, the misdrops. The misdrops come through and Effie funds the first point. Gasho versus SDP C-Spin. More T-Spin triple action in the center of the board from Effie. As Civ sees the -11 on the board, Effie continues to stack, and they do break accidentally, but I don't think it mattered too much. Second point for Effie. Ooh, Effie with some misdrops as an opener, but a clean way out of it. Civ, though, has the opportunity for back-to-back. Effie with a quick break forces Civ to break as well. Civ looking for some fancy setups, but kind of having to duck out of them because of the pressure from Effie. Neither player currently has that back-to-back ready to go. They both find it. Civ breaks it. Effie keeps theirs going. All spins galore. Sends it over. Follow-up. Point. Clean. Effie with a misdrop, but some really nice ways out of that misdrop. Very impressive. Civ with some really nice all spins to keep their board clean. They break. Both players break, actually. And we're left relatively even. Civ with the fractal into the back-to-back break is going to give them their first point. Gasho versus a misdropped PCO stack. Effie's still finding the back-to-back out of the misdrops, though. There's the break. You can only keep that going for so long. Civ breaks as well, and then vertical eye misdrops right next to the well, which is generally pretty bad. MKO versus just like a freestyle in the middle of the board. There come those back-to-back dings. Effie gets into that 1-8 well there, and the combo down stack from Civ leaves Effie's board with some unpleasant garbage. Effie with some misdrops, though, is going to slow down right now. Gives Civ the chance to spike, they do, but Effie gets out of this in time and has the Prophecy T-spin ready to go. Civ with the eye misdrop right next to the well. Again, the vertical eye misdrop is just so brutal. Civ almost gets out, but Effie finds the kill. Effie using that speed advantage right there to its fullest extent, pushing Civ up to the top of the board, who almost gets out. Not quite. Effie halfway to that finish line here in this grand finals. Sixpin versus TKI into LST here. Effie is the first to find that back-to-back as Civ had to skim out of it, and is now greeted with the -8 at the top of the board as Civ is just continuing to stride this out. There's the break in the 24 spike, and boy is it brutal. Effie in a 3-6 stack here. The floating key spins, the damage is so clean. The stack is so clean. It is just textbook here for Effie, as they are making this matchup very different than the last time they met in the winner's side of the bracket. Effie with a misdrop there on that S piece is going to slow them down. They're thinking about how to do this without losing back-to-back, and boy, do they find a way. Very clean there from Effie. They break to get into the next well. Civ breaks with the 23 spike in the down stack, but Effie is at the bottom of the board. Effie just 2 points away from this here. SDPC spinning. Both players break here. Civ's up at the top, has the eyepieces to get out. Effie finds well access. Civ finds well access. Both of them at about the same spot on the board. Civ with the combo down stack, but Effie finding the back-to-back right here. Pobre mi gatito, alguien le ha pegado por comeloncito. Ahora está llorando. Pobre mi gatito, alguien le ha pegado por comeloncito. Ahora está llorando. Ay, mi gatito, miau, miau. 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 Sid finds another point. Effie finds the back-to-back first. 4.7 PPS to start off here from Effie. Keeping that going. Dropping just a little bit, but not that much, as there's like that cart set up in the center of the board. 17, 18, just continuing to build this up. Are we gonna hear the sound? I love this sound. They're like, brrr. Oh, did we lose audio? Well, I hope that I was able to give some, an impression of what was going on. I was the sound effects for a bit. Great. Okay. Match point. Effie misdrops their opener. Civ also misdrops. It's the battle of the misdrops. Effie turns theirs into a fractal. Civ also with some nice finds in the rough. Effie breaks. Misdrops the OPs. Turns it into an all-spin setup. Continuing the all-spin here. The T-spins come out. The L-spin comes out. The Kaidan is here. There's the break. There's the follow-up. And that is the game. Woo. Congratulations to Effie. I will close out the prediction. Oh, was it like extra audio? No, that's fine. All right. Yeah, so that is it for Stratosphere 156, everyone. Yeah, thank you all for being here. Congrats to Effie there. And we will see you next week, probably. I don't know, I'm not in charge, but most likely next week. Yeah, so we will get a raid going. Yeah. You can enjoy looking at this picture of my cat again. Yeah, we're gonna get the raid going and see ya. All right, cool. Yeah. I'm gonna head out now. Thank you for having me. Bye.